Hey, what's happening? I'm Tommy C. Shot from the Point Hockey. This is In the Crease with Tommy C. We're going to be talking about the Winter Classic events in 2014 in the hockey world, and maybe we'll touch on the only popular in Canada International Ice Hockey Federation World Junior Tournament. This is In the Crease with Tommy C. This is Shot from the Point Hockey, the best, the greatest, and we're edgy. Isn't that funny? You say that? We're edgy. We're edgy. All right, come on. Just stick around. Watch it. Let's do this. Come on. Good morning, everybody. It's time for your Morning Ice Friday, January 2nd, 2015. Good morning, everybody. I got the millennial crew right here. The young guys who I was not able to inch in during the holiday because it was just a holiday. But right now, Jeff the Huffman and Mecca Macusar are here to talk a little hockey with us and go over the season and maybe something we actually missed in last night's Shot from the Point live broadcast. Guys, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. Glad to have the kids on, the youth movement.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
All right, it's gonna be happening. Listen, we didn't talk too much. There was a controversial penalty. Jonathan Toews complained about it. He whined about it. Hey, Jeff, who was that penalty on? Was that on Backstrom?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that was on Backstrom. I'm gonna put that on the screen right now. You can see Jonathan Toews moving into the corners right here, and the arm goes up. This looks like a typical stick check. I don't see where he ties him up. What was this? Was it a makeup call? And this obviously led to, what's his name, Troy Brower's goal with 12 minutes to go, giving the Capitals win in the great Winter Classic. All around a good game, but definitely marred by this really soft call from a guy that really doesn't take bad penalties too often. I suppose you could make a case that's holding. I just don't see it.
That was pretty weak.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. You think that might have been a makeup call?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a safe bet that does go on between the referees and the players.
Yeah, I care. It's something I always believed when I was a kid because the refs would make a bad call and then all of a sudden, boom, you'd see a situation where they, it was just even up, and then you're almost like if you like the team that had the first penalty, you're like, Jesus, thank God. But I just, I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have been calling penalties in the first place. Let me let these guys play. It's kind of a big game. There wasn't too much dirty, rough stuff. Because Kazar pointed out it was definitely a physical game. It's bizarre that they would do something like that in such a televised game and such a soft thing. John Tortorella a couple years ago when the Winter Classic went to overtime, was fined for saying that they wanted an overtime game on prime time. Do you guys remember that incident? I think it was in 2012, January 1st.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
I remember.
Is there do you think, some of these have been so storybook, do you think the refs are conscious of ratings and conscious of stuff like that? Mr. Macusar, what do you think of that? Or is that just dumb conspiracy theory?
No, I absolutely think so, because, first of all, Washington earlier in the game, they had a minute and a half.
Do you have a wireless connection, Matt?
Earlier in the game, they had a minute and a half. Yeah.
Matt, do you have a wireless connection by any chance?
Does it sound it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You do?
I have it now.
Yeah. I'm going to kick you in the fucking teeth!
I mean, I guess that's what happens when you use connection from Saudi Arabia.
No, don't worry about it now, but I didn't say this rule. Everybody on the team, you're a rookie, and now we're going to have to smack you around a little bit. You're a rookie. Everybody has to have wired connections. This. So try it again. Answer my question the best you can with the technology you have. Go ahead, Matt. Shoot.
All right. Well, earlier in the game, the Blackhawks had a minute and a half, 5-on-3. And it's obvious the refs, they had to make it up. And it's a shame that that they can't just call the game how it is.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't remember a few years back, said the Canucks player Burrows, he went in front of the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, he didn't touch the goalie, not even a little. And the ref called a penalty.
Make a penalty.
Yeah, and many years later, like, I listened to this French hockey show, and the ref, his name was Stéphane Auger, and they asked him, what was the deal with that? Why'd you call that? And he said it himself, I had to make up a call I made against the other team. So it's for sure there's these make-up calls.
So was he under a National Hockey League employment at the time that he made that statement?
No.
No, he wasn't.
He doesn't, yeah.
I think we've proved this. Kerry Fraser came out, although Kerry Fraser, I think, Kerry Fraser was the definition of a referee that wanted to be seen on television with his coiffed hair. He's also been making sort of statements about referees, criticisms about current referees. They make makeup calls. Maybe that's time for the NHL to send something down and say, you really have to knock this off. Look, refs are going to blow calls, and we can't all go crazy when they blow calls.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
It's going to happen. I don't want machines out there making every call, and it's a ref played by men and overseen by men. So there's going to be mistakes. It's a part of the breaks. It's like you're a defenseman. Somebody fires a pass to you, a real easy cross-ice pass, and it hits the back of your skate, and that leads to a dramatic turnover. That shit happens. It's nobody's fault. I think this stuff actually really hurts the game. It makes the NHL look bush. The fact that these referees are going up there and saying verbatim that we are making makeup calls is, I think it's troubling. Jeff, is this a big deal, so to speak? Is this actual problem, or is this something we just simply have to deal with as far as makeup calls and things of that nature?
Well, I mean, you don't really see this in. I don't remember hearing anybody saying they make makeup calls in any other sport like baseball and football.
Good point.
But I mean, I like you just said, I don't want any machines out there because I love the human aspect of the game. Now, baseball brought in the instant replay to help the umpires out when they definitely screwed something up. I'm okay with that, but just when you just have referees just making makeup calls all game for something they may have missed, it takes away from
in fairness to the referees, I'd probably do it too. But it makes the game look bush. You got to stick to it. I think what happens is they see the big screen and they say, "Holy crap, I blew that."
Well, yeah. I mean, I probably would too, but I wouldn't come out and say that, and I wouldn't do it on something like what Toews got called on.
Yeah, I think maybe it's something we're gonna have to live with. I think certainly. I could see doing that myself, especially like even at a low level with maybe as coaching midgets or something like that. Or a ref and midget game. It's just like, oh, God, I don't want to break these kids' hearts. Maybe that's what the pressure of the Winter Classic is. Oh, God, I don't want to disappoint everybody. But I do... If you're worried about upsetting people, then you shouldn't be out there doing it. No, well, that's true. Well, that's right. Coming from a referee himself, and you do some baseball as well for kids. No, you're absolutely right. You got to stand by what you have.
Yeah, that was the dumbest thing I ever did, umpiring in Cooperstown. That was stupid. People are idiots.
In Cooperstown? You did you do a max game?
No, my brother had his team got invited to go up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they went up to Cooperstown, and each team has to send an umpire up there. I didn't really volunteer for it. I got volunteered for it.
You got voluntold.
Yeah, and that was the dumbest thing I ever did. I pretty much how many games did I do? I probably did like 6 or 7 games. There was one game I enjoyed doing.
Yeah. Nope. You got to kind of stick to. You got to face it. You got to look at the face. Boy, I'm having a rough day today. Things I wanted to go over. Actually, I just wanted to take a look at the standings real quick, and where a lot of teams are at. Let me move that logo. That doesn't look good too there. In the Atlantic Division, which occurred playoff spots, we got the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Montreal Canadiens, the Detroit Red Wings. And the Metropolitan, we got secure playoffs in Pittsburgh, New York, and Washington. And coming up in the wild card, Toronto and New York. These are the Eastern Conference team, considered the weaker of the two conferences. Who out of this pile has a shot to win it all, and who will we see in the Eastern Conference final? Matt, excuse me. Sorry, Matt.
Eastern Conference final. Definitely Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Eastern Conference final. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you said Eastern or Western?
Eastern. These are all Eastern teams.
Yeah, definitely Tampa if their defense holds up.
Mm-hmm.
And
say your own team if you believe it. Say your own team if you believe it, but only if you believe it.
I have a bad feeling. That's the thing. I don't think we're gonna go that far this year.
Well, then don't say it.
Let's go Tampa and Islanders.
Oh, really? The Islanders.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I like about your picks. I'm going to ask the same question as Jeff, so Jeff gives you time to think about it. Yes, I think one of the things that you see with Stanley Cup teams is they usually have an early round exit, and then they figure out what they did wrong. They figure out what they did wrong the next year. Tampa's a much different team. They gelled around the Callahan crew. They brought in a few Rangers over there that have playoff experience, deep playoff experience. I think it's very, very likely to see the Tampa Bay Lightning, and maybe. I know Steve Stamkos is a primetime star in Canada, but this is a real opportunity to show what a talent he has. I think he's a little underpromoted inside North America, even though he plays in. Well, I think part of that is because he plays in Florida.
He plays in Tampa.
Which people just don't think of the Florida. Even though they won a Stanley Cup 10 years ago, people really don't think of the Florida teams very much because they play in a warm weather area. But I think that's really great. I don't like Detroit. I like the Islanders to make a big run. I think that's. I tend to agree with Matt. I think you're going to see the New York Islanders more than likely lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Final. Don't count out the New York Rangers. You could see a repeat standing there. This team does have playoff experience. I think their record is not what it appears to be. I think they're a much better team than
2011 and 4. I mean,
we saw this last year too. They sort of got hot as the season went on, and this team can gel in the playoffs. I think the question with the New York Rangers is, and this is the team I like best of there. I know I'm a fan, but I do like them. It's because of their playoff experience. I think the question is the losses that they got. Like with Boyle and who was the other guy? The defenseman they absolutely should have signed that they didn't. Strawman, which was huge. We're going to find out how big those losses are come April and May, and I like them. Boston is just out of a wild card spot. I do expect them to make it. They're probably going to end up fighting it out with Toronto for the wild card spot. But I think the teams to really watch: Tampa, Montreal could show up big in the playoffs, but I think they're more of a second-round exit. Don't worry about Washington. I think they're sort of in a... If Barry Trotz gets his way in Washington, we're going to be building towards something, like Matt Kazar pointed out. But I really think the pick teams... Oh, why didn't you mention Pittsburgh? Because they will find a way to blow it. They will find a way to blow it. Who do you like? Eastern Conference Final, Western Conference man, Blues man?
I think it's like you just said, between the three, Tampa, Montreal, and the Islanders. Mm-hmm. I think Tampa will be in it, and then the Canadians and Islanders will fight it out.
Yeah. Okay. So we're all on the same page here. That's what I think. But I do think New York is quite literally a wild card. I actually don't expect them to have a wild card spot. I think they will be in the top three then. So that's my big prediction with New York. In the Pacific Division, we have Anaheim on top, Los Angeles, who seems to be turning it around. They had a rocky December.
They've been starting slow the last couple of years anyway.
Yeah, they're such a... They're
kind of just on cruise control until February.
Perfect. Vancouver, kind of an underreported team. They have a solid third spot. They've played reasonably well. Of course, you have in the Central, you have Chicago, Nashville, and St. Louis. Big surprise here. Nashville still not being really taken seriously.
They beat us 3 out of 4
Predators.
games.
Don't expect the Nashville Predators to go deep. This is a team that's coming together, so even if they finish up over Chicago, which is not impossible, in the Central Division, expect them to go around early because of lack of playoff experience for some of the reasons I gave in the Western Conference. Winding up the wild card, which is going to be a dogfight. San Jose, who looks brilliant at times. And you really have to give hats off to Sean Thornton over there. After losing his captaincy and sort of holding the team together, they never should have stripped it. If they should never strip this guy from captaincy. I think it created a problem. San Jose has shown that they have had a lot of heart just to even remain in the playoff hunt after the changes and, of course, that terrible defeat to the Los Angeles Kings in the playoffs. Winnipeg, Calgary. They're fighting for the second wild card spot as we speak. I mean, we're still a little bit away. Out of those two teams, who do you think's going to make it? Because I think that's really where we're going to be. Edmonton, Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas. I think they're already out of it unless we see a surge from the other team.
You're bottom 5-6 teams?
Yeah, and it's interesting that we're talking about Winnipeg and Calgary actually being in the playoff hunt, which would be those that you would have put probably even Dallas and Edmonton ahead of those in going into this season. Out of those two teams, Matt Kazar, what do you think? What are we going to see? Winnipeg, Calgary, or maybe a really ballsy pick both to make it the wild card?
I'm going to go with only Calgary.
You go with Calgary?
Yeah.
What makes you think that? They have dipped a little of late.
Yeah, but every team has that little sequence during the season where they're not that good. And I just love the way Bob Hartley coaches that team. They have like this blue-collar mentality.
Sure.
And they show up every night. And that's why I think they're going to make it.
That's true. Here's the thing. I'm going to go back on it. I had Calgary making the playoffs before it started. Something tells me I'm going to be wrong by the end of the season. It's going to be very, very close. Winnipeg, what's his name? Hutchison, one of the best save percentages in the NHL. I think.
Yeah, and he's also leading the league in goals against and save percentage.
Yeah, so and it quietly be and they also. I would you agree, Matt, that they also have sort of a blue collar work ethic inside of Winnipeg as well. The only thing is the recent injury to Evander Kane. But they won without Kane before. Is definitely going to be detrimental. But something tells me I'm going to be wrong or disappointed because I think Winnipeg's going to pull this out. Any chances, Jeff, that I'm right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think those Calgary and Winnipeg are going to slug it out until the very end. They're going to be right there the rest of the year, I think.
All right.
I do like Calgary a little more.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
They got Johnny Hockey, Mr. New Jersey. They sure do.
I like Calgary just by that much.
My prediction
Giordano's going to win to Norris.
Really?
I think so.
My prediction for the Western Conference Final will be St. Louis. Something tells me they're going to turn it on in the playoffs, and the Los Angeles Kings, and simply based on the fact.
Well, they're playing like crap now. So I mean, I'd rather them play like crap now than
they got to turn it around soon, like within the next 2 weeks, because I notice a lot of teams that think they're in there end up losing games in February. February games are huge, and it's not February's just huge.
Trade Patrick Berglund.
Well, I don't think that's going to make a big deal. Trade
Patrick Berglund for somebody who can put the puck in the net. How about that?
I don't know. I think the Blues might have a confidence issue. They got to go back to being mean, and
exactly. Patrick Berglund's like 6'3", 220, and he doesn't do anything. He does not do anything.
So that's going to solve all the problems. Getting rid of Berglund.
Yes.
You are the Blues man. You had the Blues man. Who do you got, Matt, in the Western Conference Final?
Now I'm angry.
I got none of your picks. I would have put the Blackhawks and the Ducks.
I get a bad feeling about the Hawks this year.
Really?
But that I'll be honest with you. I'm making a gambling pick. So like it's just something. It's more of a feel thing. But I think that's the safer the Ducks. Ducks have found funny ways to lose in the playoffs before. I don't think that team's changed that much in the last 2 years. So I don't see it. Certainly,
they got relatively the same bunch over there.
That's why I don't, and it's also why I didn't even put Detroit in the mix in the Eastern Conference. But I think that's the safest way to go. Hey, here's another real safe one. How about another Chicago, Los Angeles Eastern Conference Final? That's very possible.
I'll just hang myself right then.
I think you guys are gonna have an impact. Something tells me this is a year that Blues fans are going to remember. That's my prediction.
No, I shouldn't get too upset because the last 2 seasons the Cardinals won the World Series, 2006 and 2011. The regular seasons were very, very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I do. Something tells me the Blues are going to be a very special team. I think that they're ready to enter sort of the prime time teams. What I mean by that, it'd be like Pittsburgh and Washington that have superstars. Chicago. I think something tells me this is the year to maybe not win the Stanley Cup, but definitely become a more prime time team. All right, something I wanted to point it out. My quick notes. I took 2. and you can count last season as well, 2014. Some of the most significant things that I think happened is, of course, the arrival of Vladimir Tarasenko. Does everybody think this guy's a legit star? Is he the next? Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I don't really get to watch him. He definitely has the talent. He can be way up there. Mm-hmm. But the question is his work ethic, and I'm not just saying this because
he's playing both ways.
He is playing both ways.
All right, so yeah, that guy with his talent, he can be definitely top 5 in the league.
That's a good thing. A lot of criticism of Russian players, and I hate to generalize all of them, because some of the Russian players that we got initially when the wall fell, like guys like Sergei Nemchinov, that weren't like a dominant players by any means. They did have great work ethics. We do have this sort of stereotype around Russians that they're lazy in their own zone. Vladimir Tarasenko, is he lazy in his own zone? Can he be a powerful offensive impact player, but still keep his defensive responsibilities? Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. He's
totally confident.
He's playing both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a time where I was watching a game. I'm like, why are you not doing anything in the defensive zone?
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that either. And in fairness to Matt, he doesn't get to watch it. And I've watched. I think I've watched 10 Blues games this year. Yeah, I don't get that feeling. I don't get that feeling at all that he's floating out.
He's plus 18. He's plus 18, and he passes the puck.
All right, here's my other one, and then I'm going to flip to you guys. Plus 18. Well, I think that there you go. There you go. That I think that says a lot right there. The other thing I pointed out, I don't think any. I'm going to pat myself on the back. One of the biggest changes in the NHL that absolutely nobody's talking about, is the return to sanity when it comes to suspensions since Brendan Shanahan has left the player safety group. I think the for the first time in about 3 years, the player safety is not a front page story. And the reason they were a front page story is because every time we turned around since 2011 pretty much, bizarre suspensions that don't make sense, inconsistent suspensions, over suspensions, under suspensions in some aspect. This has disappeared, and it actually kind of killed one of my theories. I never thought that Brendan Shanahan was, because I have so much respect for him, was making the decisions when it came to suspensions. I figured whoever's making these decisions was really gauging what the media wanted for suspensions. You don't see it anymore. Jeff, have you noticed this as well? And I think it's just something that's not going reported.
Yeah, it seemed like the last couple of years, before this year, it seemed like there was a suspension every day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Every day. It was nuts. It drove me nuts. Like I couldn't keep up with it.
And Matt, are you impressed with something that I pointed out in 2014?
Yeah, I remember last year you called it the suspension of the week because there was just that many.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And now I barely hear about it. So.
Yeah, we don't hear about it because I think they're not as controversial because they make more sense. And I don't know.
And
what
really,
was wrong
the only ones you're seeing are the illegal checks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm for protecting. If it's a little unfair to bigger players, taller players, but I don't have a problem with them protect. You shouldn't be targeting the head. Maybe at one time you could if you didn't have your head down, but that rule changed. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Especially with things that happen like guys like Chris Pronger, and I think it's going to help save guys. I don't want it to get any worse than that, where we're just, just being ridiculous about shots from the head. Shots from the head are going to happen. But I think it's a bit sanity to suspensions. Who is even in charge of the player safety group now, Matt Kazar? Do you know?
Yeah, his name is Stéphane Trallier.
Okay, you barely know. Do you know the name of this guy, Jeff?
Honestly, I don't.
Good.
Ever since Shanahan left,
that's my point.
You shouldn't know.
That's exactly. You shouldn't know. Shanahan was too much of a celebrity. That is my exact point. And I'm glad we've gotten. Who the hell is this guy? It was a joke. The whole thing was a joke. He really did a bad job. That leads me to believe that things might not be going too well in Toronto because. I don't know. He kind of one of my childhood heroes. I think he ran that terribly. My original opinion, like I said before, is that he really wasn't running shit. He was a figurehead because he was considered a legit tough guy. It seemed like more of a media or a prop than somebody. But nobody can deny things changed since he left, and thank God he left. because he
Even
was
in
just
the videos he'd put out for the suspensions, he'd have like this tone of voice, like, "What the fuck am I doing here?"
yeah,
He's just like bored out of his mind.
and he's very well spoken. He looked like
Yeah,
a dumb jock, and
yeah.
he's a very well spoken guy. I'd never forget when he was, I'd say, in his mid-20s. He was interviewed, and they said, "What's good about being a hockey player? What's bad about being a hockey player?" And he says, he said the perks were obvious, but I did miss out on education." And he did seem somebody that was interested in his own heritage, his history, Canadian history, educating himself. And then when he gets in front of a camera, which is bizarre because he'd been in front of a camera most of his adult life. I'm Brendan Shanahan. I'm going to make a bunch of inconsistent suspensions and actually put the players in further danger. This was. I'm glad. I'm really glad Brendan Shanahan's out of this job. He never obviously really it never belonged, and suspensions are just not that big an issue, which is good. Because I think the less they concentrate on less ammo you give the media on suspensions, and we're also seeing this with fighting too, or on suspensions and shots to the head. The more they kind of get bored of criticizing fighting in hockey. So maybe this is you saw this last year where it was September, October, November, lots of articles about getting ready for fighting. Now December's rolled around. I don't anticipate, unless there's some kind of real Pier 6 brawl fighting coming into the conversation, which is good because I want it protected, as my two friends do. Real quick, Matt, Jeff, what did you know? What do you think the most important event of 2014 is at least for the league's concerned?
Most important event of 2014.
Yeah.
Wow. The player safety thing was big because that was out of control.
It was just ridiculous.
I
I
might
love
have to
putting
go
you
with
on the
that.
spot.
I might have to go with that.
Really? Okay.
I might have to go with that.
You're stroking my ego, which is fine with me. Matt Kazar?
Well, this isn't really NHL, but as far as hockey goes, I've seen the best game ever in the Canadian women Sochi Olympic game.
Really?
And yeah,
Why do you think that was so important?
Uh, well, first of all, it was against the U.S., so sorry guys, but it just.
But you won the men's.
What?
But you won the men's though. I don't see.
But,
it certainly wasn't a bad thing. I don't know why it's the most important
Carey
thing.
Price just stopped everything, and we're just too strong, and we beat everyone. But the women, it was more even, and there was a bit more emotion, and there's just that incredible comeback in the last minute, and I don't know, it stuck with me. I don't know why.
I will say this: women's hockey has a problem because it seems to be a two-country sport. It's good games are never a bad thing for women's hockey because they have to get more girls interested, and it's tough to get girls interested in a sport like hockey, and outside of Canada and the United States. So it's always good. I think it would be more important if a team like a Sweden or Finland won, and I think that's what we have to see is some kind of dethroning, and not the United States. It's not as important. Although as much as I'd like to see it, I'd like to see a team like a Denmark, a Sweden dethrone women's hockey. But it certainly wasn't the most important moment. What the fuck was the matter with you? You couldn't think of anything, Matt?
Well, it was important for me.
So you have this affinity for women's hockey?
Oh yeah, man.
There's nothing wrong with that. Well, maybe there is.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? The most important part for me is the realignment of the MLRHA and how they're going to bring inline hockey to the masses. Yeah. Real quick on something like that. What do you guys think of an Original Six summer tournament of prospects inline? 5-on-5, not 4-on-4.
I mean, I don't have a huge problem with it. I'm not a big fan of roller hockey, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if it can. I don't think it can hurt.
One of the jumps that hockey had in the early '90s was the timing of the rollerblading fad, and I think the Rangers Stanley Cup win in 1994. And I think they've moved away from that. I don't know. I think the NHL sort of embraced inline hockey for a while, and they sort of let it go. And I really think that's the best way to bring people in the game that don't, if they're so concerned about the fucking Las Vegas market or markets that are not traditionally Minnesota, upstate New York, Michigan, Massachusetts, I think that's the best way to grab people. And I just kind of wish they'd go back to that. I wish they'd have some kind of interesting tournament, because the people that run inline hockey, like, I don't know, the International Ice Hockey Federation, who runs at the highest, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Before I end this show, I'm going to mention we're a little bit on overtime right now, but I don't care. I can do what I want. There's some games tonight, and I'm going to ask Matthew Gazzar a question about this. As far as the actually just in a little while, Sweden's playing, or Switzerland's playing Germany in a regular elimination game. I don't even know what the hell that's about. That's stupid. Why do you make those two teams play each other if they can't move up or sideways or left? But about 1300 Eastern Standard Time, you have Russia versus the United States in a quarterfinal. Sweden versus Finland, the old-time friendly rivalry, and it's a real rivalry. The Czech Republic versus Slovakia, and then Denmark is going to be utterly pounded by Canada, unless there's some kind of friggin' miracle. I'm going to actually try to check out some of those games. How important, Matt Gazzar, is it in Canada for this tournament? This is something that's a little more popular in your neck of the woods because, of course, the Canadian tradition. And do you see Canada kind of winning this year?
Well, first of all, it's extremely important. Ever since I was really young, it was kind of a tradition on Boxing Day. You opened the World Juniors. And kind of from a hockey standpoint, you get to watch the younger players who are going to one day make it in the NHL. And if you look at it that way, it's kind of interesting. And I think Canada really has a good chance. I think they have around 10 first-round picks on that team. Mm-hmm. So it's by far they haven't won gold in the past 5 years. And I'd say during those 5 years, this team is the best.
This team is the best. Okay, who are you worried about as far as an opponent? Is it Sweden, Finland, United States, Russia?
The United States.
The United States. It's so funny how the juniors are so mirror the actual top-level Olympic men's league. It's the same teams. Yeah, the Czech Republic and Slovakia are good, but more than likely you're going to be able to overcome them. Sweden can be scary. Maybe Finland's a little less. But the United States, Russia are probably the top opponents, and Canada has handled the Russians as the Americans have handled the Russians. I think on all levels now, I think it's fair to say that the United States is the number 2 hockey country in the world, and that was not the case when I was growing up. It was Russia. Would you agree with that? Are we number 2? Woohoo, Jeff?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it's Canada's game.
It is Canada's game in a lot of ways. It is Canada's game.
Yeah, Canada's game. U.S. took over Russia because Russia just died.
Yeah.
Basically.
So we got it. All right, thanks very much, guys. I'm going to. I'm really. You know what it is? I haven't done this in a while, and I'm not as sharp as I usually am. Look, this is an increased Tommy
everybody
C.
gets rust.
Little different than Shot from the Point Live. A little more serious. Try to be a little more informative. We're a bunch of, I guess, reporter wannabes, but we're not. Because we do this kind of fan network here, right here on the Shot from the Point Hockey channel. And I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments. Please like us. And comments below, or hate mail, or
don't hit the like button. Pierre McGuire will come and hog tie you in your sleep.
You don't hit the like button. Pierre McGuire is going to come to your house, stand really close to you in a corner like he did Jonathan Toews, look up because he's kind of short, with really creepy, bald eyes, and he's going to ask you, and he's going to tell you, I want you to have fun out there today. That's what Pierre McGuire does. Yeah, that's what he does. Last night in the National Hockey League, of course, the Winter Classic, New Year's Winter Classic, oh, Jesus, where are my notes? Yeah, here we go. Last night, Capitals take the Blackhawks in the Winter Classic. After a soft call on Jonathan Toews, Troy Brown scored the power play goal with 12.9 seconds left remain to push the Capitals past the Blackhawks. A lot of fun game. Good show for the NHL. But there was one more game last night in the National Hockey League. The Canucks jumped out to a 2-goal lead, but they couldn't hold on to it. The Kings take that game 3-2. God, they got that done late in the third over the Canucks. The Los Angeles Kings, maybe they're turning it around right now. They had a little bit of a rough December, if you ask me. But the Kings always do everything simple, smart. You don't think they're going to turn it around, Jeff?
Oh, the Kings?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll turn it around.
Yeah, of course they will. They're great. God, I hate that microphone you have. How much you spent on that goddamn microphone? I'm dying to know.
Well, I didn't really get it for the microphone.
Yeah, for gaming. I think I almost want you to go back to the old one. I'm not even kidding you. Tonight in the National Hockey League, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Florida takes on the... Well, I'll call them that. I won't call them the Conor McDavid sweepstakes anymore. I think they're out of it. they take on the Buffalo Sabres. The Philadelphia Flyers take on the Carolina Hurricanes. The Montreal Canadiens will take on the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey Devils. Devils looking terrible. Not a playoff team. Tampa Bay Lightning take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. That should be very entertaining. The Toronto Maple Leafs, who are in a very much playoff race, having the wild card, they take on the Minnesota Wild. At 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Very disappointing team.
What's that?
Minnesota Wild. Very disappointing.
Yeah. I wonder what's wrong with them. They don't really get a lot of mainstream
Thomas
hockey.
Vanek hasn't really done much.
Oh, really? Well, maybe he's got to pay off his bookie so he can concentrate a little more.
True.
Vanek. Vanek's a lazy fucking Deutsche hockey player, if you ask me. New York Islanders take on the Calgary Flames. Calgary definitely needs a win over there. And a very, very good, for real New York Islander team. The New York Islanders, ladies and gentlemen.
And Colorado has a win over Edmonton tonight.
The very pathetic Colorado Avalanche. They will host the Edmonton Oilers for what's sure to be an absolute laugh fest, or something more than likely forgettable. And in the late night game, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, the St. Louis Blues have a very important game, if you ask me, against the Anaheim Ducks, which might shape up the playoff picture going into April. Would you agree? Big game tonight there, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the third time we played them, I think. First time, beginning of the year, that was when the Blues had that bacterial infection.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, they gave the Blues gave it to everybody or something, right?
Apparently, that's what they're saying. But yeah, the Blues didn't have a couple guys that night. They lost 3-0. Got a couple guys back. About a week later, we played them and we beat them 3-0.
All right. Well, if I would bet man, I'd put all my money on Anaheim. You know. All right, that's a big game tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to Shot from the Point. Or actually, no, this one's called In the Craze. But subscribe for videos, highlights, and all the wonderful personalities. We had the young crew in here today. Good job, guys. Really appreciate it. See you Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Shot from the Point Live, the most badass hockey podcast in the known land. See you. Peace.